This is News Conference Extra with Conan Nolan.
Good morning and welcome to the Tom Brokaw News Center here at Universal City. I'm Conan Nolan for Today in LA Weekend. Joining us from Washington is Kristen Welker, host of Meet the Press, which airs every Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. So, Kristen, the big story, of course, the State of the Union speech, which is normally about past accomplishments and future challenges. But this was, to a large degree, Joe Biden's coming out party on a re-election campaign. I don't know if we've ever seen a State of the Union where he has mentioned, not by name but by inference, his opponent as many times as Joe Biden did on that State of the Union.
You hit the nail on the head, Conan. There's no doubt about that the starting gun went off during President Biden's State of the Union address for the 2024 campaign. Within 4 minutes of opening his speech, he started taking aim at former President Trump, whom he referred to as his predecessor 13 times. So it tells you everything you need to know about the speech. You're absolutely right. And look, he tried to make this, and is trying to make this, a choice election instead of a referendum on himself, arguing that the choice is between his interpretation of democracy. He has argued he's going to protect people's freedoms, and he argues Trump will take them away on everything from reproductive rights to the very democracy itself. So those are the stakes as he laid them out during his address. I also thought it was notable the performance in this case was just as important, if not more so, than the policies that he talked about. He had to show that he had fight in him, Conan, because, of course, he's facing these polls, more than 70% of Americans saying they have real concerns about his age and his ability to serve. So not only did he mix it up stylistically with Republicans, for example, who jeered at him during his speech, but he also took on the issue of age head on at the very end of his speech, saying, yes, he is 81 years old. That gives him a certain wisdom. But he also argued that as compared to former President Trump, he argued his ideas are more current, whereas Trump's are more outdated. So those are the battle lines that he is drawing. And the big question, the big unknown, Conan, can he keep the momentum going? Democrats loved what they heard, and there was plenty of red meat for the base. Can he keep energizing them? And can he find ways to reach out to independents, moderates, those Nikki Haley voters who he's going to need to win states, battleground states that are going to be very close in the end, Conan?
Right. Now, Republicans will say that we give him high marks for the performance because the bar was so low. He did stumble on a number of occasions, and if you compare that State of the Union to, and for some of us old enough to remember Ronald Reagan or Barack Obama or Bill Clinton, there were points where it was uneven, and he even said a few things that got him in trouble, where he referred to the individual who murdered the Georgia college student as an illegal. That upset some individuals. And of course, the Democrats started the 4 more years chant, which sort of egged on the GOP as well. I'm interested, though, at the beginning of the speech, he talked about Ukraine, he talked about a democracy, he talked about abortion rights. I'm just wondering if that was an outreach in some way to the Nikki Haley supporters and the moderate wing of the Republican Party and among independents, because those were the issues. I mean, she had grown to be more moderate, certainly less strident on the Republican side on the issue of abortion. That was a bit of a surprise to lead the speech with those issues.
Well, I think you're right, and you make a great point. I think that riff off the top was a framing for how he sees the contours of this battle unfolding, and again, this fight between, as he is trying to make the case, democracy and autocracy, as he would argue. But I do think that part of his challenge and goal was to reach out to those all-important Nikki Haley voters. So, yes, talking about issues like Ukraine, January 6th, certainly reproductive rights as well. And let me add another one. I think his comments on the border were significant as well. He said, look, we struck this bipartisan deal to address border security. We had Republicans on board, including a number of senators who've been at this for quite some time, who praised the deal, who said they thought it was a good deal. And yet, Trump urged them to walk away from it. So he is trying to reclaim that issue, Conan, that resonates with moderates, independents, conservatives, and Democrats, too, and take it as his own. It's obviously been a very strong suit for Trump for years. He's trying to take it back. Strategically, we'll have to see if it works. But again, I think this is an issue to watch very closely to see how it unfolds.
Who's on the program?
Well, we've got Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock. He's going to be campaigning with President Biden this weekend, so we'll talk to him about the president's reelection campaign. How does he see his chances? How does he see the fight unfolding in Georgia? We are also going to be talking to Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. He's, of course, a Trump supporter. We will talk to him, get his take on the State of the Union address. He got a shout out, by the way, from President Biden, who said, "We've been at this for a long time, Lindsey," and that even brought a smile to Senator Graham's face. So we'll get his reaction. And then we're going to talk to Congressman Adam Schiff of California. He was the top vote getter in that Senate race. So now he faces off against Steve Garvey. So a lot to talk about and unpack this Sunday on Meet the Press.
Right. Ask Congressman Schiff if he ever got a phone call of congratulations from House member Katie Porter, who finished third in the race. She got into a bit of a controversy because she sent out a tweet saying that the election was rigged. Got a lot of blowback from that because it sounded very Trumpian. But the last time I talked to the Congressman Schiff, not only did she not mention him or congratulate him on election night, I don't think she ever called him either. I'd be interested in that. In any case, thank you very much. Kristen Welker, host of Meet the Press, 8 o'clock Sunday morning. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Conan. It's a great line of questioning. Thank you.
NBC4's news conference program at 9 o'clock is preempted this week by NBC Sports. I'm Conan Nolan. Have a great Sunday.